walks to life. Every day is a new beginning.
Hi, this is Shawn Carney, the president of 40 Days for Life, and I'm joined by Steve Karlen, the North American campaign director. And today we're going to talk about 5 reasons that you need to lead a 40 Days for Life campaign. And these are reasons people may not have already considered. We talk about the over 14,000 babies that have been saved. There's been nearly 100 abortion facilities that have closed their doors and gone out of business, 172 workers who have had a change of heart and left their job. And we're doing this video today from a former Planned Parenthood abortion facility where 40 Days for Life first began. And a lot of people think, well, that has to happen on day one of my campaign, otherwise my campaign's not a success. But that's not true. There are other reasons to lead besides those obvious ones that show what an impact your campaign can have. And number one, the impact it has on your local pregnancy resource center. We get reports from across the country, and I have spoken at hundreds of pregnancy resource banquets, and they all say when 40 Days for Life is going on, or when 40 Days for Life came to our town, so many more women left the abortion industry and they went into the pregnancy resource center where they're getting real medical help and getting it for free, and also getting the love of God and not the sterile, cold nature of an abortion facility lobby. And so you are helping your pregnancy center, which they now outnumber abortion providers 3-to-1 across America, when you lead a campaign.
The second reason that you should consider leading a 40 Days for Life campaign that might not have been at the top of your list is you can save lives even away from the vigil site. When we count, Shawn, those 14,000 saved lives that we know of, those are the last minute encounters before a woman walks into the abortion facility. But we've increasingly received stories of women who changed their minds because they heard a local leader doing a media interview on the radio or on television. We've gotten stories of women who have chosen life because they saw a 40 Days for Life bumper sticker due to a local campaign, or maybe they saw a flyer at their local church. The first saved baby of the fall 2017 40 Days for Life campaign was a woman who simply saw a flyer in her church. And we have even had babies saved because the local leader was approached by perhaps a niece who said, I know you're kind of doing this pro-life 40 Days for Life thing, and she was pregnant and abortion-minded, but she knew she had someone that she could turn to in that moment of crisis. You can save lives even away from that vigil site.
Yeah, and that leads to the third reason of how a 40 Days for Life can impact your community, and that is to wake the community up. Many people don't even realize there is an abortion facility or an abortion provider in your community. They may not know that your local hospital does abortions. We actually have an entire podcast, one of our most downloaded podcasts, on how to find out if your local hospital does abortions. And so waking your community up to the reality of abortion. We have a lot of folks that don't realize Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in the United States of America. They don't realize that if their Planned Parenthood does not do abortions, it most likely does. It does chemical abortions, and they may not know it, or it refers to another abortion facility. And so waking your community up to the reality of abortion going on where you live can have a tremendous impact.
The fourth reason to lead a 40 Days for Life campaign in your community that you might not have already thought of is to defund Planned Parenthood. And we're all, Shawn, a little bit frustrated right now with Congress that Congress hasn't gotten its act together and defunded the massive $500 million taxpayer subsidy of the abortion industry. But you can defund Planned Parenthood $300 or $500 or $1,000 at a time every time your prayerful witness deters a woman from going in to have an abortion. And one of the most popular statistics that we cite at 40 Days for Life is that former abortion workers report that when there are people out praying in front of an abortion facility, the no-show rate for those abortion appointments can go up to as high as 75%. So not only are you saving lives, but those are some checks that are not going to be written to Planned Parenthood because you've got folks standing out praying in front of this facility. You can even then go and redirect those abortion-minded women to the local pregnancy centers, and those canceled abortion appointments, they don't just result in less money, but they also result in an inefficient schedule. The operations of the abortion facility get messed up a little bit when there's all sorts of people canceling their appointments or no-showing for those appointments. So you can help take funding away from Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry, regardless of what Congress does. The fifth reason that you should lead a 40 Days for Life campaign in your community that you haven't thought of is that you can heal hearts. We love to count some of these statistics. You can't really count how many hearts are healed, but it's the sight of people out praying in front of an abortion facility that has helped bring so many hurting women and even men to the resources that they need to encounter God's healing, God's grace, and God's mercy. We have so many women who say, where were you when I had my abortion? I'm glad you're here now and it's helping me now, but I wish you were here back in that moment. That can be that first sign of hope to a woman who has an abortion, is your presence out on the sidewalk. And I'll never forget Shawn leading a 40 Days for Life campaign in my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin. We had a difficult encounter at the vigil site where an angry passerby accosted one of my volunteers and began screaming at her. And it was such an intense moment, I worried we were going to have to call the police. And my volunteer out on the sidewalk simply said, "I had my abortion back in the 1970s. When did you have yours?" And those simple words changed everything. This woman who had accosted my volunteer went from berating her, screaming at her, to collapsing in her arms, sobbing and hugging her. Those simple words initiated the healing process for a soul that was in pain and that was in turmoil for decades. And so the presence out there, even if it doesn't prevent an abortion, it can help initiate and to foster the healing process after the abortion.
It just points to all these reasons that we listed, that when we plant a mustard seed, God multiplies it. We don't know what's going to happen with your 40 Days for Life campaign, just like we don't know what happens with our own where we live. But we do know that God takes your small, simple prayers and actions and multiplies them for His greater good. That is what He does, and that is why we've seen so many beautiful results. And so take these reasons that maybe you haven't considered, these top 5 reasons, and discern whether they fall in line with the best reason to lead a 40 Days for Life campaign, and that is because you believe it is God's will for you and that you're called to do so. Not that you have no fear, not that you think it's going to be easy, but that you feel that tug, that pull, and that calling to do just that. Go to 40daysforlife.com/apply. You'll see the application, and we look forward. Please email us if you have any other questions. We'll be giving you more resources and more tools to take you A to Z to leading a 40 Days for Life campaign where you live.